How's it going, guys? So we're here for another Rust update video. And if you guys haven't noticed, they added in tooltips or information tips, whatever you want to call them, last week. And this week they have also kind of worked on them and made them a little bit better. As you can see with the AK here, it shows the damage, the accuracy, recoil, fire rate, etc. And it's just something that you need to kind of finish out a game, to make a game seem like a proper game. Without these kind of like tooltips and so forth, it's a little confusing for new people, as well as it kind of just puts to rest the questions of, wait, what does this gun actually do? Now, is everything 100% accurate? That I'm not completely sure. You know, some things are a little bit wacky as well still. So, you know, that's one of those things there. But if you check out from this week, they have actually gone ahead and updated the tooltips and added to where if you hover over a certain thing, it will tell you what that specific thing is. So, you know, speed at which gathering wood. I mean, that it seems like that's simple, but it really is actually very useful information. And it's something I'm glad that they're going ahead and adding into the game. Because, you know, it kind of gives that more, we're working at leaving alpha. We want to get out of alpha. We want to make the game out of early access, I should say, more or less. And, you know, get to that point where it's starting to feel like a proper, not completed, but a game that's getting to completion, you know? And that's a very important thing there. This week also, they have worked on getting the medical and food to have its kind of stats here, so you can see on the pumpkin and so forth, it shows what the healing, the calories, and hydration. And the calories are eventually going to be something that matters once they do work on cooking, which you'll see in the roadmap. They do have a more in-depth cooking system planned, but that's off in the future. The other few changes they've done this week, they've done a lot of bug fixes, some changes to the Bradley sounds and effects. AI still hasn't quite made it in, unfortunately, and that's just because they want to make sure it's right. It's not crashing servers or causing way too much lag and so forth. And there's a few mods out there that lets you use the AI already, and if you've played around with it, you'll know that it is very, 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 very laggy for servers. So I'm glad that they're holding off on that. There's another huge little change that they made, and that sounds contradictory here, but the auto turrets were always shooting you as soon, like, they have, let's say, like a 30-meter range, and you'd be at 45, 50 meters, and they'd still be railing you. Like, you couldn't run away from them. Well, that's been fixed. They said it was always a bug, and it wasn't something that was meant to be that way. So they finally fixed that. So I'm sure that's something that will make a lot of people pretty happy with what's going on there, because I know it's bothered a lot of people. Next up, you'll see we will finally be able to sit in chairs. Now, right now, there's a few little exploits with it, so it wasn't pushed to main. But as you can see here, finally sitting in chairs. A lot of people might be like, well, that's for a bunch of role-playing idiots. Who cares? It's not really that important, blah, 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 blah. Well, it's not that chair sitting is the big deal. It's that they're adding a mounting ability to the game. This means horseback riding, vehicles, mounted machine guns that you can, you know, attach to and use, you know, gun emplacements and so forth. You know, it's the basis put together for a system. As you can see here, you know, we got the dude shooting from a chair. So that kind of just gives you the idea. It's basically the core of a very important system. And so many people are like, oh, vehicles, yeah, right, like that's ever going to happen. But this shows they are still working on it. So many people want horseback riding. This is the first step in that direction as well. And, you know, it's going to make that a possibility for Rust. And it's still something, if you look on the roadmap, vehicles are still so much planned for the game. So I'm very happy to actually see this change. I know chairs don't really seem like a huge deal, but as you can see, it's the core system that will lead to a bunch of really awesome stuff. And this brings me next to where we have a new gun coming in, and it is a nail gun. So they went ahead and they mocked up a nail gun, and I don't know if it's going to be used in construction at all, but I mean, it's a pretty fun gun. I love games that have tools as weapons, so this thing is going to be really cool. I just can't wait to come around a corner and just like tack nails into someone. Part of me really wishes that you could actually tack someone to a wall with it or something, but that's probably asking a little too much from the engine, especially just for one weapon. But hey, who knows what the future holds in this. It could be something really cool, and I'm sure here in the next couple weeks we'll see, you know, what they're going with this. And a lot of people are like, oh, all the guns they added are like high tier, uncraftable, blah blah blah, where's the primitive guns and stuff like that. Well, here we go, we got something. It's not even a gun. It is a tool turned weapon, and that's something that I feel is the core of Rust. And I can't wait to see if they give us more things like this, because it would just be great to see. You know, go ahead and sound off in the comments. How do you feel about the nail gun? The name's ironic because it's not really a gun, but it's a gun, but it's not a gun because it's a tool. So enough of that there. I'm just rambling at this point, but I'm pretty excited to see this in game. Now, lastly, which I feel is probably the most important thing this week, is the fact that they want to make biomes interesting. And the first iteration here is this ice lake that they're going to be showing off, and it excites me because these are going to be buildable areas. So unlike other monuments, and these are meant to be kind of like a monument, it's supposed to be like a point of interest that people can say, oh, you know, I'm just on the other side of the ice lake, you know, and they want to add more detail to the procedural maps, but they don't want to make it all rad towns because then you have nowhere to build. So these kind of areas will be buildable. So you can build on the ice lake, and that's a super cool thing. And this leads us to the idea of, well, what's going to be in the other biomes? And it's cool because they mentioned it. They said, well, desert might have dunes or an oasis or something and that kind of thing, where the temperate biome might have bogs or a swamp or something like that. And that's just something that is awesome. I can't wait to see the first iterations of this in game. Of course, if these are going to be implemented, it's going to take a while as they work on them. The earliest we'd probably see these first ice lakes here would be the beginning of next month, you know, October's Force Wipe, because they're not going to make any terrain changes until Force Wipes. But that pretty much does it for this update of the important things. This kind of covered the last 2 weeks of changes, and yeah, there's not a lot of content, but they're doing a ton of stuff in the background, trying to get the game more optimized and trying to push that effort into getting it out of that early access status and get on to the next important thing, which is the progression system. That is what their focus is now. They know it's what Rust needs the most, and Helk is working hard at figuring out some kind of mashup between keeping the component system, adding the workbenches, and adding some kind of something that keeps you to a server, like the blueprint system. And he's revisiting the ideas of a blueprint-like idea, but not exactly blueprints themselves. So I'm very excited to see what that is. This team is super creative. They always have a great idea with stuff, so I can't wait to see that. But that pretty much does it, guys. Like I said, don't forget to go ahead and leave a like for me. Click that bell notification option on the front of my YouTube page so that you actually get notifications about these videos, because YouTube is super awful at actually getting out notifications. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week with that dev blog information.